to quote Ghostbusters 2, better late than never. I finally got a chance to see the latest of the Final Destination movies. This is part 5, Bloodline, which is also the first time I heard that. I was like, oh, that's the Hellraiser movie. Hi, Elvira. Okay. Yeah, a friend of mine wanted to go see a movie tonight and didn't want to see anything else that I wanted to see, like the Wes Anderson movie or The Life of Chuck. So he went out and we saw Final Destination, but then he wouldn't do a review with me. He's like, I don't want to be on YouTube. I was like, all right, whatever, sorry. So I figured I would sit down and kind of give my thoughts on this one real quick, because a couple people, 2 people, asked me if I had seen this one, and really the only reason I went to see it was for Tony Todd. It's a bummer, man, that dude's dead. I had a chance to work with him very briefly on a project in Philly. Very, very nice guy. I met him a couple times at cons. Big guy, intimidating guy, but very, very nice. True, like, you know, icon of horror. Even if you don't, you know, you can't discount the Candyman movies at all. You know, the guy, you know, he had those. He used the voice of Venom. He was, you know, the Final Destination movies, and you know, he just he played Ben in the Night of the Living Dead remake. The guy was like true, you know, nerd culture royalty, and to see him in this movie in a frail state like that was sad. It's, you know, he's very much wasted away, and it was a shock to me when I found out he passed away, because I didn't even know he was sick. Yeah, I think his family kept that pretty you know, under their hats, which was good, you know. But yeah, so his scene in this movie kind of sums up the entire point of all of this, and also kind of answers the question as to how he was involved with the other movies. The first one and the third, no, the second one and the third one are the only ones that I've seen in the theater. And that was both because of working at Regal at the time, and having to run the movies on Thursday nights when it was still film. I never much cared for the series. I know it was a rejected X-Files script. The first one I never saw the whole movie, but I've seen smattering of pieces of it. I've never seen the last one, the race car one. I didn't even know that happened. I don't know where I was when that came out. But you know, I like the concept of it. I like that everybody's name, their last names are somebody from the horror world and stuff like that. You know, I thought the roller coaster one was kind of cool, but I love the opening of the second one. They call back that with the highway and stuff like that. They're all formulaic. They're all following the same thing. This one basically starts in the 1950s at like a Space Needle, kind of like in the Itchy and Scratchy episodes. Skinless in Seattle was what we kept thinking of. We were sitting there because my friend and I, we have to make Simpsons puns at everything, because that's what men in their 40s do. Yes, they're you know, the girl has a premonition after horrible things happen, up in the glass falling through, and people being cut in half and incinerated and all this kind of stuff, all the fun things you get from a Final Destination movie. And she gets out of there, and she becomes haunted by death from that point on, and she's chased her family away, and she lives in like a David Gordon Green's Laurie Strode, where she lives in like a fortified compound kind of thing. But her granddaughter is having the memories of that event that happened in the 50s, and her grandmother saved a little boy, and the little boy turned out to be Tony Todd when he grew up, but what happened is because death didn't get those people, and it's taken so many years, because the last person was the woman who had the premonition. She went and walled herself up inside this compound, so as long as death doesn't get her, everything has to keep going. And in the years it doesn't get her, people have families, and then their kids have kids and stuff like that, so that's the bloodline of it. It's just, you know, and that's an interesting take on it, because each one tries to add a new wrinkle, like, oh, if you take a life, or oh, if give a life, you know, so they play with all that stuff that they had before, but this one kind of just just takes that nugget and just uses that as an excuse for all of the... Where was I? The cat knocked everything down in the bathroom, and it was a big crash, and I had to clean it up. And now I'm thinking of all the ways that I could have been Final Destination in there. Actually, after the movie was over, I went to go use the bathroom, and I had my drink because my friend had used was in the other bathroom, and I put my drink down on top of the toilet paper dispenser, and there was condensation coming off of it. And then as I kind of finished using the bathroom, the toilet paper dispenser thing fell over, and I was like, I could see this, like the toilet paper dispenser, my drink, the condensation makes it fall, I slip on it, I hit my head, I drown in the toilet. Like, that would be my luck, you know? And even on the drive home, because it's super, I live like way out in the country, and it's really, really foggy up here, and the whole time I'm like, what are all the weird Ruth Goldberg-esque ways that I can die? You know, it's like this little thing, an acorn falls off a tree, rolls, you know, it's like one of those stupid things. And that was kind of my biggest, this is how I think now every day. That's kind of was my biggest dislike in this movie, was where the kills are fun, the gore is fun, but that Ruth Goldberg style, this has to happen, for this has to happen, for this to fall, for this to happen kind of thing. It goes on too long, and then you realize, like, you know, oh, there's a piece of glass in the dad's drink, and then there's this and there's that, and they're jumping on the trampoline. Oh, there's a rake under the trampoline. And it's like, in the other movies, I get that. Here they just stretch it out too much. So by the time we get through that scene and we finally do have what the death is, be it the the way the dad dies, or the way the brother dies with the EKG machine and stuff like that, the way the sister dies with the trash truck, they're funny, they're sight gags, but it takes too long for them to happen. And again, while they're well constructed, and I like the idea that we're just not giving you a death, because they do that later on. There's just ones that just kind of happen just because they're like, oh shit, we wasted a lot of time with all this. Oh, is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? And you kind of get to a point where some of those characters are dead, and you're just like, oh, there's only like 10 minutes of the movie left. Like, we haven't really had much plot recently because we're on these set pieces. And yeah, that's what people like. People like the murder set pieces. But I feel like they could have truncated them a little bit more, or telegraphed them in a more fun way than how they did it. Like, again, the EKG one was really fun. You think that the kid's going to die from the peanut butter because he's allergic to peanut butter, and then the EKG thing, or the one where there was not death, where they're using the Harry Nilsson song, where his nose ring gets caught and it's being pulled up into the fan. And I was like, all right, this is great. Like, this is a lot of fun, and I like the ones that kind of make me wince. But some of the other ones just take way, way too long. And then by the time we get to Tony Todd scene, and the way his resolution of his character, you're kind of like tapped out. It's like, all right, let's get this, let's speed this up now. But I think that's because they all just basically follow the same formula. And again, not being a huge fan of this series, I like these movies. I laughed pretty hard in the theater, like crazy person, at some of the grisly deaths and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just feel like if you've seen one, you've seen them all at this point. And it's some lackey CGI. It was cool to see young Sheldon get smashed with a piano. That was fun. There's some good kills. A good soundtrack, well shot. When it doesn't look like blue screen. It's fine. It was a well executed movie. I'm glad I saw it in the theater. But I just felt like we were spending a lot of time on the cousins and the pithy banter between the brother with all the piercings. His cock ring basically gets him killed, which I was like, that's funny. That I wanted a little bit more with the actual plot of it all, and maybe some more interplay with the family, and of trying to avoid it instead of just going headfirst into it. But I think they're like, look, this is Final Destination 6. This is what we're giving them. So they really stretched out those Ruth Goldberg-esque leading up to the death scenes. So whatever. I don't know. I don't know if I'm not a huge fan of this series, so I really can't speak to it. A lot of my friends were like, hey, this is really good. This is really fun. It's a return to form because people really didn't like the NASCAR one that I didn't see. So here we are, weeks and weeks and weeks late. My rambling cat knocked over everything in the bathroom review of Hellraiser Bloodline. What is this? Final Destination Bloodline. Yeah, rest in peace, Tony Todd, man. Like that was a sad scene to see him, and but I do like the way he goes out. It was very prophetic, and enjoying every moment that you have. It would be funny as this video ends with the ceiling fan falling on me and crushing me. But who uploaded it? That was the one that was a. Never mind. I'm not going to get into a Cinemassacre Monster Madness script story. All right, that's all. Final Destination Bloodline. I reviewed it for the 2 people who asked. You're welcome.